Hey, and welcome to Board with Life News for February 7th. Today I'm going to talk about the rise of Queensdale, Century Eastern Wonders, Carpe Diem, a bunch of teasers from Lookout Spiel, as well as the first expansion for the quest for Dorado. Let's get to it. Hey, I'm Chris. Welcome to Board with Life News. A couple of new updates about the channel and Patreon and stuff like that real quick before we get into it. This is now a podcast, so it's the audio from this video, basically. And if you prefer to get your board game news via podcast, you can do that. It's up on iTunes right now. You can either follow the link in the description, or you can search on iTunes for Board with Life News. I'm still pushing it out to, Google, whatever, and Stitcher and stuff like that. But it's coming, so definitely subscribe to that if you're interested in that. I mentioned at the end of my last video, but I wanted to do a real quick thing about some changes to my Patreon right now. I've added a Slack channel, so if you back at any level, you get access to the Slack channel where we talk about board games and just chat about basically whatever. I also added a new video series called What's on My Table, where at the beginning of every month, I talk about the board games that I played over the previous month and kind of my honest opinions of them, whether I liked them or not, stuff like that. That's for all backers $1 and up, and I am adding, coming next week, every month, a new design vlog where I talk about all the different game design stuff I've been working on, and that's for backers $3 and up. So I'm really excited about it. At the end of this video, I'm going to talk more in depth about that kind of stuff, so if you're interested, stick around for that. Okay, into the board game news. The Rise of Queensdale is a new game coming from Ravensburger in their Aaliyah line. It's designed by Inka and Marcus Brand. So this looks like it's like a campaign where I guess the theme is the queen is dying and everybody's trying to build towers in her honor to make her happy and proud before she dies. I don't know. But in the campaign thing, so it's a game where initially the first person to win that wins the first game, you have to get to 10 points, and that person wins, and they get special bonuses, and then everybody else also gets some stuff. But now, in the second game, that player has to get to 16 points. So, like, the goal gets further away, but you have a better kind of foundation that you've started with to get to that goal. I'm not exactly sure how much campaign it is. Eric Martin over at BGG said that there were stickered dice, but there were extra stickers in the box, so maybe you're upgrading dice with stickers? I don't know. I don't know if it's a legacy thing or not. But the most important part of this, as Eric pointed out, is that it comes with a plunger, like a literal tiny plunger, because apparently there are tiles laid on top of the board, so there's like a 2-layer board, and sometimes you have to remove tiles, so the plunger is so you can suction the tile, and more games should come with little tiny plungers. Century Eastern Wonders is going to be the second in the Century trilogy coming out from Plan B Games, designed by Emerson Matsuchi, where Century Spice Road was a card game where you're changing resources to get better cards, to get victory points and stuff like that. This is going to be kind of a exploration game on a tile map where there's a map laid out via tiles, where you're trying to travel to different places to deliver your spices. The map is variable, obviously, with tiles for harder or easier games, and it's going to be able to be combined with Century Spice Road, so that you're like getting spices via the Century Spice Road card mechanics, where you're delivering them via the Eastern Wonders mechanics. So that's interesting if that's pulled off. It's a thing that games have started to kind of do a little bit with, like, not even standalone expansions, like separate games that are kind of wholly different that are going to be able to be mashed together. I can't think of an example where it's been done super well yet, but I think it can be done well, so I hope this is a case of that. Carpe Diem is coming from Ravensburger in their Aaliyah line. It's going to be number 18 in their big box line. The line includes stuff like, I'm pretty sure Castles of Burgundy's in there, and Broom Service, stuff like that. Really good games. And Carpe Diem is designed by Stefan Feld, which is why I'm of course excited and talking about it. There's very, very little information about it. It's a tile placement game. It's for 2 to 4 players, 10 and up, and plays in about 60 minutes, so it seems like it's kind of on the lighter side of what Feld has been doing. Honestly, I love Stefan Feld. You know that if you watch this. He's designed Castles of Burgundy is, if not my favorite game, one of my top 3 games. I love a lot of his designs. But recently, in kind of the past years, before his games have come out, I've been really hyped for him, and then they came out, and I still haven't played Merlin that came out last year. They just haven't been doing it for me recently. So I hope this one is different. Lookout Spiel had a ton of their product line for 2018 and 2019 out at the Spielwaren Messe convention, and Eric Martin over at BGG News did a great job. He took a bunch of pictures of them, put them on social media, so I'm just going to talk about each one of those kind of things real quick. They had Neon, which is a city building game. They had a Barron Park expansion, which I'm very excited about. Phil Walker Harding had teased on Twitter that it might be monorails, where you're like building monorails over the park. I don't know if that's actually what wound up in the expansion, but I was really excited about that. A second expansion for Isle of Skye, race packs for Converna, Gingerbread House, which is a new game from Phil Walker Harding, update to Agricola Farmers of the Moor, Patchwork Express, which I can only assume is a faster version of Patchwork, and then Patchwork Extreme, which I can only assume is a harder or deeper version of Patchwork. So a lot of these have me excited. I really like Lookout Spiel games. So yeah, that's stuff to look forward to in 2018 and 2019 from them. As I get more info on any of those individual things, I'll talk about that if it fits into news in future weeks. The Quest for El Dorado's first expansion has been announced. It's going to be Heroes and Demons. This is going to introduce new dangers and new heroes through new cards and new landscape tiles. I'm really excited about this. I like the Quest for El Dorado quite a bit, and it is such an expandable game, like a lot of deck builders are. But the new tiles can change the map up a whole bunch. And the Quest for El Dorado, the base game, you played with all of the cards in any given game, so there wasn't a huge variety of strategy. Now, different maps required different strategies, but there wasn't a ton of exploration how cards interacted with each other, so I'm excited about the new cards to kind of expand on that kind of deck building stuff that I love, like Dominion. So yeah, excited about this one. That's the news for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and follow me on social media. I'm at Chris Bryan Games on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you check out my Patreon, which is linked below. I'm going to talk about the changes to my Patreon, as I said at the beginning of this video, a little bit more in depth. Yeah, so stick around if you're at all interested in that. So as I said, I added a Slack channel. This is literally just, if you're unfamiliar with Slack, it's basically like a messenger chat platform, kind of like a private chat room almost, where over the past week I've been talking with my backers, and it's been great. We've been talking about stuff we played over the weekend, just kind of general chatting. So that's a really cool thing that I'm excited about, that you get access to if you do $1 or more per month. As I said, what's on my table is a new monthly video series that's Patreon exclusive for $1 and up backers. The first one came out last week, where I talk about the games I'm playing. So last week I talked about Charterstone, Stuffed Fables, Bunny Kingdom, Mini Park, King Domino, and Codenames. So that's fun. I don't do a lot of public talking, frankly, about my games, just because, you know, I don't want to be a reviewer. That's not my thing, but I'm happy to kind of privately, in this little exclusive thing, give like my unfiltered thoughts on games. I'm adding a design vlog. The first one's going to come out next month for $3 nut backers, and that is, I'm going to talk about the games I've been working on, the game designs I've been working on, at all points in the process. So if you're at all interested in getting into game design yourself, or you're interested in my game designs, it's kind of a behind-the-scenes look at how that works. So you'll hear about, you know, very first prototypes going through and pitching to publishers and working with graphic designers for the finished product, all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. Patreon just introduced a thing yesterday called Patreon Lens. That's basically Instagram videos, if you're familiar with those, where it's a little feed that has videos or photos that only last 24 hours. And yeah, so that's going to be a thing that I do pretty regularly through the app. I think you have to use the Patreon app, but it's going to be a little behind the scenes videos. Like I'm posting a behind the scenes video of my studio where I make this right now. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. Sorry for that motorcycle. And also I'm going to start doing a thing where anybody who backs me on Patreon or updates their pledge, increases their pledge, I'm going to say a thank you every single video for those people, and I'm going to start this video. So thank you to Ray Black, Ryan Midget, Sam Adams, Jay Shark, Jonathan Dodd, Byron Morgan, Michael Kierkiarto, whoa, I didn't even remember a weird name, Michael Kierkiarto, I don't know, sorry Michael, Marcus Funke, and Brandon Haynes. So yeah, if any of that sounds interesting to you, go help me out on Patreon. It's great. The next goal is at $200, so we're 3/4 of the way there, and that's going to start increasing the content that I put out on this channel. So if you like what I do, or it's helpful, or whatever. I very much appreciate it. All right, that's the news this week, and I'll see you next week.